Boys, welcome to part 4 of the rest of the season ranking series. In this episode, we got tight ends. We're going to rank the rest of the season tight ends from 1 to 16. And make sure you guys subscribe because we're also coming out with more fantasy content to help you guys win your fantasy championship. And also hit the like. We're aiming for 100 likes on this video and we'll have the starts and sits for this week coming up on Friday or Saturday. So make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe.
At our number 1 tight end rest of the season, no surprise here, Travis Kelce, the best fantasy tight end. Quite easily, to be honest. He's been a little less consistent this year compared to last year, but he's still by far and away the best tight end in fantasy football.
At number 2, we have Darren Waller. This guy started off the season so well with a 19 target performance. Ever since then, he hasn't been great, averaging around 7 targets, and he's been dealing with an injury, but Derek Carr in last week against the Giants threw him the ball 11 times. He's starting to become that clear number 1 in that offense again, and he's easily the second best tight end in fantasy.
At number 3, we got the rookie Kyle Pitts. So far, he hasn't exactly looked like he's number 3, but he's had 2 breakout games, otherwise a little bit inconsistent. But we're expecting him to have more of those breakout type games against the Jets and the Dolphins that he's had so far. And we're expecting him to shine rest of the season, making him number 3 on our rest of the season rankings.
Coming in at tight end number 4, we got Mark Andrews. This guy is currently averaging 15 PPR fantasy points per game. This guy is currently the tight end 2. He's one of Lamar's favorite targets. Lamar is throwing the ball more this year than he has in years past. The Ravens are looking really good. Mark Andrews has been a beast in fantasy, and he's our number 4 rest of the season.
At number 5, we got TJ Hawkinson, the clear number 1 pass catching option on the Lions. The Lions may not have the best offense, but when you're the clear number 1, you're going to have some sort of value, and he's a beast player. The last 3 weeks, he's had 30 total targets, which are great numbers for a tight end, and we expect him rest of the year to have more of those consistent numbers he's had those past 3 weeks and to be a great start rest of the season.
At number 6, we have George Kittle. George Kittle just had a great game against Arizona, putting up over 20 PPR fantasy points. He has been dealing with an injury early season, but he looks healthy again. The big problem why he's not top 5 is Trey Lance. This 49ers team has not been looking that good. There's a great chance they'll bench Garoppolo and put in Lance. And if Lance goes in, it makes Debo a bit worse. It makes Kittle worse. It makes Ayuk worse if he starts doing good. So Kittle may not be the top 5 elite that we expect if Trey Lance is there, but he's still a great option for your fantasy team.
At number 7, we got Mike Gesicki, the Dolphins tight end. He's been surprisingly really good for fantasy as of late. He's always been known as a very athletic guy, but he's never fully put it together on the field. This year, he's putting it all together. He's looking like an absolute beast. He's not quite in the top 6. We feel like that's a tier above him, but he's still been awesome this year for fantasy football. Great player rest of the season.
At number 8, we have Dallas Goedert. Ever since Ertz left this football team, Goedert's value should have gone up. It hasn't really been looking like it. He hasn't had great games in the last few weeks, but you can tell Jalen Hurts is trying to get this guy the ball. He's probably his favorite target other than Devontae Smith. They're both the one on that offense. Dallas Goedert's a great option for fantasy. He gets a decent amount of targets with Jalen Hurts there. There's not a lot of receiving weapons, so Dallas should be good for your fantasy team every week.
At number 9, we got Dalton Schultz. Not the biggest name, not the flashiest player, but he's been really solid for fantasy football. Dak is really starting to trust him in this offense. He's getting him the ball a lot. He's offering not the highest upside, but he's pretty safe floor every single week. We think he's a top 10 tight end the rest of the year.
At number 10, we have Dawson Knox. This guy seemed a lot as this year's Robert Tonyan. He gets so many touchdowns for the Bills. But a thing about him is he is injury prone. He's also pretty touchdown dependent. He does not get a lot of targets at all. The Bills have so many pass catching weapons like Diggs, Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders, and Knox. So you don't expect him to get a bunch of catches every game. But if he can get in the end zone, he'll put up great points for your fantasy squad at number 10.
At number 11, we got Noah Fant, another guy who's seen as super athletic but has never fully put it together on the field. There's been spurts this year where he's shown that high end upside, but for the most part, he's been a middling tight end. He was great before Jerry Jeudy came back, but since Judy's come back, he's been average at best. So the rest of the season, we see him as a solid tight end, but just not the highest upside in the world.
At number 12, we have Rob Gronkowski. At the beginning of the year, Tom Brady was feeding Rob in the end zone. He was getting so many touchdowns, so many Gronk spikes for the Bucs. But he has been dealing with an injury. He did come back against the Saints, but he left in the first quarter because it was just too painful. His back is hurting him. Plus, he's getting kind of up there in age, so back injuries don't go away easily. So I would not expect this guy to come back super soon. But when he does come back, he's a solid tight end. He will get in the end zone for you a good amount, and he should score good fantasy points for your squad.
At number 13, we got another tight end coming back from injury, Logan Thomas of the Washington football team. He hasn't been as good this year as a lot of people I think expected, but his upside could go up with Fitzpatrick coming back. Last year with Alex Smith, he was getting targeted a ton. This year, not so much. It seems like he's more of a red zone option this year, but with Fitzpatrick, again, his upside could go up, so we have him number 13 rest of the season.
At number 14, we have Pat Freiermuth. This guy in the last 3 games has had 7+ targets in every single game. But the problem with him and why he's not higher is because Eric Ebron is probably going to come back soon. The Steelers also aren't the highest scoring offense. Najee gets most of the red zone touchdowns. Deontay gets most of the catches. Freiermuth is still good, but with Ebron back, his upside isn't super high, and that's why we have Freiermuth at 14.
At 15, we have Zach Ertz, the Eagles tight end that was just recently traded to the Cardinals. In his first game with the Cardinals, he looked awesome, absolutely torching the Texans. Last 2 weeks has cooled down big time, but we still think in this Cardinals offense, with their high scoring potential, he does have upside the rest of the season, making him 15 on the list.
At number 16, we have Tyler Higbee. In theory, this guy should be a top 10 tight end. He plays 100% of the snaps almost on a top 5 offense. But the problem is Cooper Kupp and Darrell Henderson and even Robert Woods get so many touches that Tyler Higbee isn't getting the ball an overwhelming amount. There is games with high upside and there is games where he gets in the end zone, but there's games where he puts up like 1 point. He's averaging about 8 to 9 fantasy points per game in PPR, so he's not amazing, and he comes in at our tight end 16.
And guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you made it this far, comment the secret word. We'll like and reply to your comment. And guys, again, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button. We're coming out with more fantasy videos very soon. See y'all later.